It kind of depends on which way they want to go. I still think their main foundation should be based off of learning, get into Security Plus and then learning Linux. Because from there, you literally can go any direction, right? You can go into cybersecurity, you go into cloud, you could just stay down the Linux route and be a Linux system administrator, or you could go down like the DevOps route, right? If you start learning those different DevOps and programming skills. So I would tell them literally get the Security Plus, get the Red Hat certified sysadmin, try to land your first tech role, whether it's help desk. Some people want to get hired faster, a help desk role or a Linux system administrator role.
What's up, guys? We got Simone B in Miami. Welcome, Simone. If you don't know who she is, she has a massive platform in the tech space. She has traveled the world in the GovTech space. She's made millions in her tech career, and she has helped thousands get into tech. And more impressively than all of that, you've made government contracting cool, which I did not think was possible. If you told me 10 years, you talked to a woman that made government contracting cool, I would say you're insane. But with all that said, Simone, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for the warm introduction. And yeah, most people, when they talk about me, they're just like, you made this government tech stuff cool. I never thought that it could be like this working either for the federal government or government contractor companies. Yeah.
I mean, if you see her on social media, you don't expect government contractor to have the supercar and, all the social media followers. So we want to talk about all of that stuff. We're going to run through her background very quickly. You got started at 16 in the tech space.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know that was possible. So what kind of brought you to do that?
Yeah. So basically, like, I'm not really a big school person. So when I grew up, I was playing basketball and video games, literally the only thing that I cared about. So I was sleeping through all of my classes. And since I was like one of the star players on the team, my advisor in the school, obviously they don't want you sleeping through your classes. So basically my advisor was like, hey, we have this vocational school and they have all these different like classes that you can do. You could do IT. They had a networking class where you would learn, you get your CCNA certification. They had another IT class where you get the CompTIA A+. They had like HVAC, welding, nursing, cosmetology, all that kind of stuff. So it was like a traditional vocational school and we would go there every other day. So I ended up going my junior year of high school and I was 16 years old. I ended up getting my CompTIA A+ certification and literally a month later, I landed my first GovTech role. It was just a basic, help desk internship, but it was my first job. I was 16, making $10 an hour, and I didn't have to go to school anymore. So yeah, every other day I would just go to work. So for me, I've always been about the money. So like, as soon as I found out, they were like, yeah, once you actually, get this cert, and if you get an internship, you don't have to come to school anymore. Like I was done. Like that was it. Yeah.
40 hours a week at that point?
No, not 40 hours a week, just every other day. So some weeks it would be, 3 days a week, 8-hour days. And then some weeks it would just be twice a week, 8-hour days.
Yeah. And then you got a college basketball scholarship. Yep. But you gave it up for tech.
Yes. Because again, I'm not a school person, right? So like you were talking about how, you would never expect somebody like government contractor to have the supercars and stuff like that. But that's what I saw growing up. So I'm from the DC area, Arlington, Virginia, to be exact. And when I was growing up, I saw black people that literally were buying mansions all cash and cars all cash too. So I was asking my mom just kind of like, what is it that they're doing? She said, oh, they're overseas government contractors. They're going to work in the Middle East. They're making like $400,000, $500,000 a year tax free. And I said, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. And literally that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah. And so then you graduate, software development degree.
Yeah. So I got a computer science degree. So I ended up quitting the basketball team because I couldn't juggle both. Like I said, had a low GPA. So 2.1 GPA. Quit the team, ended up focusing on my computer science degree, still struggled, right? So I transferred to VCU and I still was undeclared because I had a 2.6 GPA. You needed a 3.0 to get into the engineering school. So yeah, I went to VCU. I ended up having multiple internships while I was there. So I got my government security clearance from a credit union. I had a IT internship there. So in the DMV area as well, like there's certain places that you work at where everybody at the company has to have a clearance, and some credit unions they're like that in the DC area. So I ended up working at a credit union, got my clearance. And then I worked there for about a year and a half. And then I ended up getting a federal government internship out at Hanscom Air Force Base in Boston. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. Yeah, but I got an internship out there. Then I got one with Northrop Grumman as a
paid those?
Yeah, all of them paid. Yeah,
how much?
Yeah, all of them paid. Yeah, so the first one with that sponsored the clearance, that was $12.65 an hour.
Okay.
When I went to the federal government, I was a GS3. Do you know about like the GS scale?
So my brother-in-law is in the patent office, so he's always talking about the GSs. Getting to a certain. Basically, you're capped because of Congress. Basically, you can't make more than them. Correct? Yeah,
exactly. So the GS scale goes from GS1 to GS15. I was GS3. So you could kind of see the type of money I was making. Right. So I think at that time it was like $14.10 an hour. And the nice thing about the federal government is like the more credits that you got, like you would get a promotion. So after my first year of working there, I had enough credits once I hit my not senior year, it was like junior year or something like that of college. I had enough credits to where I got promoted to a GS5. So so I started as a GS4 and then got promoted to GS5 a year later.
Okay,
so,
what type of money is that?
It wasn't much. It's still like maybe $15 an hour. Nothing crazy.
Still hourly.
Yeah, still hourly. So this was back in 2013, right? And then from there, I had an internship with Northrop Grumman as a cyber software engineer. And really with that role, all I was doing was writing Linux software packages, like automating different Linux software packages for this program. And yeah, I mean, I ended up going to Raytheon after that. And then with Raytheon, I was there for 7 years. And I started working with them as a embedded software engineer. So kind of just a fancy way.
Why don't you tell us what embedded software is?
Yeah. So embedded software engineer, you're basically writing code for like different, like it could be satellites, radars, UAVs, whatever, like any type of, even like robots and things like that. So embedded software engineering is basically where you're writing code to like control like some type of electronic. So I didn't know how to do any of that stuff, but it was in C and C++ was our main programming language.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, what was your like kind of stack at that point? Obviously, you're running Linux, C++.
Yep. So it was C, C++. They had me also doing some like front end work, a little bit of like kind of GUI front end stuff, nothing too crazy, but that was in C# and JavaScript as well. But I didn't code for long, right? So like I said, like I literally only got into tech just to make good money, because my dad always told me you could make six figures like with a computer science degree. So I was at that role for 2 years. And I ended up going overseas as a radar system engineer. So basically that's just, I was doing similar work, but out in the field, and you're basically like the technical SME on site. So if anything happens to that radar system, you're the one that's responsible to get it back up and running. And most of the system I worked on, they were like operating 24/7.
Yeah. So it was a radar system in Japan.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
you did your research.
I watched a few of your interviews. So yeah. So you're in Japan. And one thing I thought was super interesting, you mentioned like they're paying for your housing, food, travel, everything. So you're just pocketing. I mean, you're pocketing. I think you said you were making $140K.
Yep. At that time. So in Japan, I was making $140. And literally, so I had a townhouse that I just rented it out. When I left to go overseas, sold my car. Wow. And then I went overseas. They pay for your housing. They pay for your car. Like, it's funny when you go overseas, most of the areas you go to, they have military bases. So, it's always like different military service members coming in and out. So are you familiar with kind of like on base and like how things work on base and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So like on base for a lot of the military guys, there's like a lot. I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's a car lot where people will just sit their cars there and put like a for sale sign on it. And they're like super cheap. So I ended up buying like a cheap Subaru. I think it was like a 2004 Subaru for $1,800, but my company was paying me $900 a month for a car.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, it's crazy because when you go overseas, they first give you a big bonus. So I got a $10,000 bonus to go overseas. And then, you know, they're paying me $900 a month for a car that was already paid off. So literally just stacking cash overseas. Like immediately when I got over there, first thing I did was pay off all my credit cards. And then I started investing in crypto. So that's kind of really how like all of the money and the wealth started building up quickly.
2013.
2017.
In 2017. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
2017.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, your plan was to, okay, I know I can save a lot and make good income and get the bonuses over there. Plan was obviously not to do that for a decade. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what was the next step from Japan?
Yeah. So for Japan, again, right, my goal was always like, okay, how can I get to the 400K, 500K salaries that like, you know, I saw and heard about when I was younger. So next, I had a coworker that like was telling me about this one program that was in Taiwan. He was like, look, it's on a mountain, but your yearly bonus is your base salary. So so they changed the contract right when I got there, right? So that's the thing with this overseas government contract and stuff is when the contracts are really good, where they're paying super high bonuses, great like contractual like uplifts. So you'll get extra money just for being overseas. So when the contracts first get awarded, like they're paying the most amount of money, right? So most of the time, like, you know, you got to either know somebody to get into the contracts when they're just starting. So this contract, actually, they had already been out there for 12 years. So that's around the time when they start like cutting things, slashing things, right? People start leaving because the money's not as good. So people started leaving. I ended up going over to Taiwan. Of course, they had changed that bonus, right? No more base salary bonus, none of that. They also had changed like the work schedule. The work schedule, they kind of hit us with an okie doke in Taiwan. Like it was supposed to be a work schedule where it was we were supposed to work 10 days on and 4 days off, and it wasn't that. We got there, they're like, yeah, it's 10 days on, 2 days off. And I'm like, well, and I was working nights because, you know, I'm always on social media. So like I'm like addicted to Twitter, right? I'll be honest, I am. So I've been tweeting all day, every day for like over a decade now, right? So for me, I wanted to be able to still tweet and talk to people in the States, and then also like, you know, whoever I'm talking to, my family and stuff like that. So I worked nights in Taiwan. So it was basically like I was in the States, right? Yeah. So I was working overnight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that was, so that
12 hours, 10 days on.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, 13 hours technically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 30-minute drive up the mountain, 30-minute drive back.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we would leave the house at 5 p.m., get up to work like around 5:30. And then we, you know, do the same thing, come back down, get back home around 6:30 a.m. So yeah, it was crazy. But I just say that to say that basically with that type of schedule and you're working overnight, when you get off for 2 days, you can't really flip your schedule, right? Because I can't really try to adjust to working or being up during the day if I work at night. So I had did it 1 or 2 times when I was off, and I was like, this is stupid. So I just started working 26 days straight.
Wow.
And I would take 7 days off. So yeah. So like our company, Raytheon, they have what they call mod time, right? A lot of government contractors do, where you can save up like your overtime and take it later, right? So what I would do is save up some of my overtime that I had, and I would just take a week off. So I was literally traveling back to the States, or I was traveling back to Japan like every month after working, you know, my 26 days.
And what were you making at this point?
Yeah, out there I was making $225,000.
Wow. And still same deal. You're basically saving.
Yeah.
80%.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, I literally had no bills at that point. At that point, like literally all my debt was paid off. Everything was paid off. I started investing in crypto 2017. So, you know, at that point, literally like I'm saving maybe like 90% of my money that's coming in, and I'm investing it too, right? Investing in businesses, investing in real estate, and just having a great time, you know? So finally like got to that point where I was making the money that I wanted to make ever since I found out about this at like 14 years old. Yeah.
Cause you know, obviously those are big numbers, but really the saving is what matters, because people obviously in this town make got, $1 million. They don't save that type of money or even come close to it. So,
right. Exactly. Yeah. That's what people always say. They're always like, oh, how is it you have all this stuff? I'm like, I imagine living for free for 5 years. Right. 5 years. You're making on average like $200,000 a year over those 5 years. You have no bills. I have no kids. Right. I'm just stacking and investing and just literally just doing the right things with my money. Right. Because everybody that goes overseas, they don't do the right things with their money. But I will say this. Almost everybody that goes overseas has a house that's fully paid off. They have cars that are fully paid off, right? I mean, it's just easy to do, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why would you not do it? You don't have any bills. You don't have anything to pay for. Like, everything's paid for. Your food's paid for, transportation, your house, what are you spending your money on? So I would see some of my coworkers, obviously they have their house and their cars. And then outside of that, they were just blowing the rest of the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so there were no federal taxes taken out.
Yeah. So every year, there's the foreign income exclusion rule. So if you're outside of the States for 330 days out of the year, you don't pay any federal taxes. So it's up to a certain limit. For 2025, it's up to $125,000 a year. So before I went overseas too, I also, my home state was Florida. And then also I had moved to Texas. So I had no state income tax either. Mm-hmm. So it was nice.
Yeah. Okay. So you would still, your home residents, they could still get your state income tax.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. Yep. So it doesn't count on, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Be smart about it, guys.
Yeah, you got to be smart. Yeah. So you really want to, so for me, luckily, my mom had lived in Florida and again, I had rented out my house. So I just moved everything down to Florida. And then when I had went back overseas again I went to South Korea after Taiwan. At that point I was living in Texas because the pandemic was it was crazy, right? So I had 2 contracts that actually fell through. I don't think I ever talked about this on a podcast before. I've tweeted about it. I'm always upset about the pandemic, but basically I had 2 contracts that fell through in 2020. So I had one that was a 2-month contract out in Qatar for $50K. And I was going to be in a 5-star hotel at the Marriott. Oof. I was looking forward to it. I was I'm finally, getting these good contracts. Cause when I lived in Japan, I didn't live in a nice place or in Taiwan. I was living on top of a mountain. Right. Yeah. So I wasn't living in super nice places or anything like that compared to my coworkers that were living in Qatar and living in Dubai. They're living in the best places for free. Right. Wow. So, I was finally going to be there. Right. So I had that one contract, $50K. Fell through because of COVID. Then I had another contract in Qatar as well. It was going to be for $180,000 for 9 months. Fell through as well. And that was going to be that same program that I was working on in Taiwan. So remember, like I told you, if once you're in, you're good because you can get onto these new contracts as soon as they start. Mm-hmm. So they were starting up the same program, but in Qatar. And, like I said, I couldn't. So what happened, the reason why I fell through is I ended up leaving Taiwan a month before COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And so imagine that, right? So I'll never forget the day. It was March 22nd or March 23rd, 2020. I was literally about to go deploy to Qatar and they had started shutting down all the international airports. Ugh. So they're shut, everyone's shutting down, right? Heathrow, all the major airports, they're shutting down. So I got a call from my manager. He's like, hey, the company's too scared. They don't want to put you out there and then you get stuck. Mm-hmm. So we're going to you're just going to have to stay back until we figure out what's going on. So, then from there, they tried to get me onto a Air Force plane and stuff like that. And then the Air Force no, We're not letting any contractors on the plane. So I literally got stuck in the States and that's how I got to Texas.
Wow.
Yep. I almost got laid off from Raytheon. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So they almost laid me off because I was basically working on just a kind of BS program just to do something. Keep me working. Right. So they had me just working one of our logistics programs to just kind of help out until they figured out what was going on. And then after about 3-4 months, they're like, hey, if you don't find something within the next 2 weeks, we're going to have to let you go. Wow. So I went on the internal career site, saw a position, same thing, radar system engineer role, but it was at Fort Hood. So I had applied to it. Or actually, I didn't even apply to it. I called the hiring manager And I said, hey, is this role still available? He's like, yeah, can you move here tomorrow? And I said, yeah. So that's how I got to Fort Hood. But because of COVID, I couldn't move the next day. I had to wait. I had to get approval, and then I moved the day after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still in 2020.
We're still in 2020. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I got stuck at Fort Hood for about almost 18 months. And then I ended up getting onto another program that was in South Korea. And that one was really good because it was COVID. Like every few weeks, somebody's getting COVID. You couldn't really go to work. So
could you work from home with some of these radar systems? You can't really. Yeah,
you can't really work from home. Exactly. So that's people ask that all the time with the overseas. They're like, can I just work from anywhere and make that same money? It's like, no. Like the whole thing about overseas government contracting is like, you're working either on a site or on a military base for some type of system. So it could be like a physical system, or it could just be, like some type of IT system that you're working on, right? So you have to physically be there. And that's why you get paid a lot of money, because how many people really actually want to go and leave the States? Some people might leave their family behind to go overseas. And, there's not a lot of people that want to do that. So that's why you get paid the big money, right? So literally you'll get what they call like a difficult to staff uplift. So like they'll pay you additional 15% on top of your salary just to go overseas.
That's if it's been open for a bit. And
no, that's just standard.
Just right off the bat.
Yeah, because they it's not many people that want to work overseas or even know about it until I started.
It's not always working in Tokyo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean there are some good places, right? Like Yokota is like 45 minutes outside of Tokyo, but imagine how many people want to leave that base. Like if you get a job at Yokota, you're probably going to stay there forever. Same thing with Dubai. People get jobs in Dubai, they typically never leave. They stay there forever. Yeah. So all the good locations, very hard to get to. So you got to get some experience first overseas, start to network, and then work your way into it.
Okay, so you've stacked a lot of money at this point, and then you go back to South Korea, and then when do you get back to the U.S.?
Yeah. So from South Korea, I was out there for 8 months. I was out in South Korea for 8 months. It was a lot during COVID. So I ended up actually coming back, like, again, still investing and all that. I had a lot of money saved up, a lot of money invested, and I had passive income coming in. So I ended up just leaving, coming back to the States, was trying to find something else within the company, and they just didn't really have anything for me at that time. So I was like, you know what? I've worked 5 years straight overseas. You're working a lot of hours. When I was in Taiwan, I was working 92 hours a week, right? Sure. Yeah. Japan, 50 hours. And in South Korea, this is really like 40 hours a week, right? So that one was actually good. 40 hours, I was making like 210. So, but yeah, so I worked all those hours. I came back to the States and I was like, I'm just going to just take time off. I had called myself retiring, right? I was like, yeah, I'm going to retire early. But I noticed really quickly that, like, I love working. It's just like how my family is, my dad and my mom. So I got bored really quickly. Like as soon as I went back home, I caught COVID, like right once I got back. And I was like, okay, yeah, retirement's not really for me. This is boring. And I just, I took 8 months off. And then that's when I ended up getting a job with the GovTech cybersecurity startup called Exonius Federal Systems. So it was a cybersecurity asset management tool. And I was a federal technical account manager.
Okay. All right. So that's obviously a big shift.
Yeah. Huge shift. Right. Yeah. But again, for me, I made that shift because, of course, if I'm used to making a lot of money, I'm going to continue to make that same money overseas. So what a lot of people don't know as well is that when I was overseas, my base salary was only 105. So like whatever your base salary is, typically you make double when you go overseas. So my whole thing was like, okay, how can I get back to like the 200K range without like, I don't know, going back to school, or just how can I do it? So my friend ended up telling me about the company, and the base salary is 175. It was 100% remote. And then we had bonuses and stocks too.
Yeah. So what was that like interviewing for an account manager kind of tech job after you've been hands-on tech?
Yeah. I mean, it was different, right? Because I really didn't know what to expect. So this entire time as well, I had always been going back and forth with wanting to become a sales engineer because, I'm such a people person. I have the technical background, but I like talking to people. I don't like just, sitting in a room and being bored. Right. So with that, my friend was telling me about this role, which is, it's in tech sales, right? So technical account manager. And with this role, the interview process was much different just because of the fact that, one, they're just trying to figure out like, well, can you really be an account manager, right? So I basically kind of just talked about, my experience with working with different like generals and commanders and, being the liaison and making sure they're happy at all times overseas. So it was very different. And it was something that like, it was a good experience, but I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't technical enough. Like, so do you know people in technical account manager roles?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. They're just not technical enough. Right. It's just, to me, it kind of seemed like, I hate to say it, kind of seemed like just like a technical support role. Yeah. And I didn't like that. Like, I was like, I would much rather be a sales engineer. So I was spending a lot of time talking to the sales engineers, working one-on-one with the sales engineers. Like, I was trying to make that transition over into it. And then, I had some personal things happen and I was just like, you know what, like, I'm just going to take off of work again. Cause at this point, like I don't really need to work. I'm just working just because I'm bored.
Yeah. And had you been investing in properties too while you're doing that? Okay. So you're getting the passive income that way. Yeah. The crypto is going up significantly. Yeah. Depending on which ones you decide to go in. So what do we, okay. So you take off again. And then, I mean, at what point do you start the whole social media? Like, I mean, you were on Twitter, you said.
Yeah, I was on Twitter the whole time. So I was on Twitter the whole time. Like, I had literally been sharing information about certifications and people being able to get into tech by just getting certifications, probably since like 2012. But like I was telling you before, most people didn't know that I was completely anonymous before. So since I was anonymous, that's why people called me Bees, because that was my nickname. And I just didn't want people kind of like knowing what I look like, what I did for work or anything like that. So I was sharing, information on Twitter the whole time. And when I came back, it was right when I started working for Exonius as a federal technical account manager. I'll never forget, it was August of 2022. I was just like, I had been seeing people posting on TikTok. I had wanted to start making videos because I literally just been tweeting this whole time, nothing's video format. So I was like, let me just start trying to make some videos. So of course, hopping on TikTok, started talking about how I was an overseas government contractor making 6 figures tax free. I mean, my account blew up like quickly. So yeah, I think within the first month I had 10,000 followers on TikTok. And then within the first 3 months, I hit like, I think 100K.
Yeah. So and that was like the boom of like, no one talked about tech and video format before that, like right around that point. So you kind of rode that wave. You're probably one of like the kind of pioneers of that, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe. I mean, I feel like there were people before me because before I started, getting on to TikTok and posting on Instagram, I was like, looking and studying other people, just kind of trying to see, because a lot of people on TikTok were dancing and I'm like, I don't dance. So I don't know, like, I don't know how this is going to go over. Right. I've been used to just typing like, and I don't dance. So how am I going to get my information out there to people? So I was kind of studying other people. And it's funny, I don't know if you noticed it, but like majority of like the tech content creators that were on TikTok then, like they don't make any content anymore. Everybody's just only working now. And it's for like, a couple of different reasons, but
what do you think that is?
I made a video about this too. I think the reason why most people don't make content anymore, it's a couple of reasons. One, a lot of people, they just like, are you allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people literally just give you shit on TikTok, right? Just about talking about tech, and they're like, oh, the job market sucks, or you're just trying to sell something or whatever. Like, even if some people, there's a lot of people that weren't selling anything, but they were still getting shit for talking about tech, right? They're like, you're the reason why the tech job market sucks. Like, I just think like TikTok, I don't know. They just got a bad mentality on there. And then also, I also think as well that people were getting in trouble by their jobs too, right? So because once you start posting these videos, like, and somebody Googles your name and stuff like that, these videos come up when people start looking you up. Right. So I think that's another thing too. So a lot of people are like, look, I don't want to lose my job for posting on TikTok. Like, I'm just doing this just for some brand deals here and there. Right. And then lastly, I think the last thing is most people are just living their life, right? Because a lot of us, I feel like we don't have to post on social media. Like we're just doing it really to like help other people, because people keep asking us, if you like if a lot of people told me, they're like, if you would have just got on TikTok or Instagram and just been showing your cars and stuff, because I had the G-Wagon before I even posted, I had my condo before I ever posted anything like that, right? So they were like, if you would have just came on and showing the lifestyle stuff, you would probably not get much flack. But since you came on talking about tech and then people started seeing like, oh, you actually have a lot of things too, that's why, you know, you kind of get flack. But I don't know, you know, I feel like the whole like tech content creation space is shifting because one, a lot of us are older, right? Mm-hmm. And we have family, you know, we're not going to put up with whatever they're talking about in the comments. Like if we don't have to, you know, like, okay, you're not going to badger me. I really don't have to be on here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So I mean, where do you see it going next? I mean, obviously there's now a rush of podcasts. I feel like I'm one step behind. I think I'm in the short form, then the podcast, and I'm like, everything's saturated as soon as I get in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really don't think you can be behind because, you know, everybody's unique. So you know, you have your unique story, your unique podcast and everything you're doing. But I think the future is it's just whoever is consistent long term, right? Because people are just going to stop. Like that's what I've seen. Like throughout the years, right? Like I've been talking about tech and all this for a long time. I've seen a lot of people start and stop for many different reasons. So I think the future of like content creators talking about tech or just people talking about tech in general is just people who want to continue to build a community and like just have a greater mission beyond, you know, themselves. Cause again, you put up with a lot of stuff being a content creator and some people are just like, well, I don't have to post anymore. Like, and I'm not going to post anymore. That's literally what I've been seeing from a lot of my friends that are content creators.
Yeah. So they just said, I don't even need it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, because they don't need it, right? Like we actually work the jobs that we say that we work. So we don't need to post on social media to get a couple $1,000 brand deal every now and then.
Yeah, right. It's really not worth it. And what I face is with a lot of the big companies around here, I've tried to get some of the executives on HR and PR has just put the kibosh on a lot of high level people. So I mean, I'm sure people got Googled and said, well, okay, hey, I'll take it down.
Yep, you know? Exactly. So, and it's kind of crazy because like I've gotten so big that when I go into interviews, people already know who I am. They're like, oh, I read a Business Insider interview about you, or your videos came up on my social media. I've been following you for a while. So it's like, you really have to think twice about it and definitely think twice about the type of content you put out.
Does it ever hurt? It seems like it's helped you mostly. Has it ever hurt you in a job interview?
I don't think it's ever hurt me in a job interview. I don't think it's ever hurt me, but it doesn't mean that I haven't gotten opportunities because somebody Googled me and was like, nah, we don't even want to give her a shot.
Right.
You know?
She's going to be online. Yeah. We can't. Yeah. What if she said, I was afraid you're going to say something that's going to hurt the company, or, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So that's definitely a real possibility because I didn't realize how many people knew me until like this last recent like round of interviews that I was doing. And it was like literally every interview I was going in, people were talking about, you know, I've seen you before. I've read about you before, or I Googled your name and I saw all your YouTube videos and all this and that. So it did make me actually take down some stuff. Cause I'm like,
really?
Because
the lifestyle stuff or
the lifestyle stuff. The lifestyle stuff is funny because, I'm not going to talk about that, but the lifestyle stuff for sure, just because of, like, let's say if I'm talking about, oh, I bought this, I bought that, or come with me to do this, come with me to do that. You really just have to watch it because if somebody doesn't know you, like you could come off the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Especially if they don't know you. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, part of that was to show like when people said you're lying, you're not making this much money. You're like, well, here.
No, literally. Right. So
actually, no.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, no, actually here it is. And that's how I blew up on TikTok. Like, but it was funny, you know, since I wasn't on TikTok like that, I actually got like memed and I didn't know it, like, or somebody hit me with a meme and they had said, he had commented on one of my videos. He was like, if you're making so much money, do a money spread. And at that time, I didn't know that was like a meme on TikTok. Like, cause I still see it to this day. So like from there, I had just like showed like, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm not a scammer. Like I work in tech. I don't have just a bunch of cash laying around. I just started like showing different stuff I had bought over the years. And that video, like that was my highest performing video.
Yeah.
Like I got like 4 million views on Instagram, I think. 3 million on TikTok, right? Like that was literally the highest performing one ever. And that's where majority of my followers came from, that one video.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what point do you decide to create a mentorship? Did someone come to you and say, hey, like you're big enough, let's do the mentorship? Did you do it yourself? How'd that come about?
Yeah. Well, with the mentorship, it's kind of crazy. Like people they were begging me for consultations when I was anonymous. So so I started doing consultations back in 2019. So they were like, hey, like, cause I was giving out so much free information, people were landing 6-figure jobs just from my tweets. So like, cause I've been tweeting threads for a long time. Right. So, like they were landing 6-figure jobs and people were like, look, I want like actual, like one-on-one help with you from you. Can we do a consultation? So I had to figure out how to do it. I had to ask my friend, like, how do I even charge? How do I do this? So, I signed up for Calendly, made an account. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, so I started doing that. And then like, everything just kind of evolved because as more and more people were making 6 figures, like I think in 2021, I hit 100 people who I helped make 6 figures.
Wow.
Right. And then that was in 2021. So from there, and I can help people make 6 figures like in any career. I just only talk about tech now because it's just easier that way.
Yeah.
But
what did you mainly tell them? What was the advice back then?
Yeah. So my advice back then literally was very similar to advice now, right? So for tech or whatever type of career, like make sure that you get the certifications that actually will help you get a 6-figure salary. So like I would talk about tech, I would talk about insurance adjusting, I would talk about project management, and then I would talk about how people who had like transferable skills could use those skills in other careers to get to 6-figure salaries. So like literally people that are teachers, veterinarians, all types of people transitioning into tech and making 6 figures.
Was there one common avatar or was it just wildly different
I mean, it was wildly different. It's people from all kinds of backgrounds, like literally all kinds of backgrounds. I truly believe that to make 6 figures, like it's really just a key like framework that you have to follow. So, and it doesn't really matter the career. It just matters if the career has like a 6-figure potential, right? Like obviously, like if you're in a career where it caps out at 50K, it's not going to work, right?
Right. Okay. So then, so you're telling people the same thing now. I mean, what we talked about, like me throwing you some scenarios. What would be the quickest path? 6 figures, someone has nothing, 18 years old, high school graduate. What would you kind of recommend?
Yeah. Well, it kind of depends on which way they want to go. But like, I still think their main foundation should be based off of learning, getting the Security Plus and then learning Linux. I think that should be their main foundation because from there, you literally can go any direction, right? You can go into cybersecurity, you go into cloud, you could just stay down the Linux route and be a Linux system administrator, or you could go down like the DevOps route, right? If you start learning those different DevOps and programming skills. So I would tell them literally get the Security Plus, get the Red Hat certified sysadmin, try to land your first tech role, whether it's help desk. Some people want to get hired faster, a help desk role or a Linux system administrator role, work that for 6 to 8 months and then job hop from there, like based off of what your interests are. And then I also tell people all the time to let the companies pay for like your degrees and certifications. So I see so many people and they're like, I've paid for like 10 certifications and I still can't like crack 6 figures. And a lot of that has to do with positioning. It has to do with, one, if you got 10 certifications on your resume, the first thing a recruiter is going to think is, why? Like, why do you have 10 certs? And then why you have it on your resume too, right? It looks like you have no direction and they probably can't explain why in the interview either. So so a lot of the stuff I do is really like mindset stuff. Like I think a lot of people just don't have the right confidence and then they don't have the right strategy to get them into the roles that align with, one, their goal, and then two, the skills that they already have.
Yeah. And so what do you, is group coaching right now? Cause it's so big.
It's a mix.
It's a
yeah,
mix.
it's
Okay.
a mix. Yeah.
So some one-on-one with you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
some's one-on-one with me, and then some's group coaching. And I also have a community too. So it's like all different levels, right? So I have a free workshop for people who, they don't have the money, which is fine. And they still come in, they get the information. I literally teach them everything step by step in the workshop. And then I have a community that comes with a course as well, which is my blueprint. And then I also have like an accelerated blueprint basically to help them get to a GovTech job faster. And then for the people that already have tech experience, they can work with me one-on-one, right? So as one-on-one VIP clients.
Yeah. And so what are they coming to you? They're mainly GovTech people, or they want to switch into GovTech?
It depends. Some are mainly GovTech. Some are in tech already and they want to switch into GovTech. Some are in tech and they're just like, hey, help me double my tech salary, right? So like that's a big thing that I help people do is like make 2 to 3 times their salary.
Wow. Wow. And so it just depends on what their current stack is. And then you're kind of like,
yeah, exactly.
Left or right. Okay, do this way. Or...
Yep. So, I mean, because I've seen so many people, right? So when I was doing those consultations back in 2019, I had did 300 consults in like 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like I've talked to so many people, I've heard so many scenarios, and I've like coached so many people. So based off of like, what they want and their skills are, I kind of just like, I talk them through it, try to see like what they think will work best for them. Give them like literally a roadmap they can follow, and then, they just implement it.
Yeah. And what do you think, for 2025, where should people be looking? Obviously we have AI, staring at us.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think with AI staring at us, I'm gonna be completely honest, right? I personally think that the tech industry is kind of cooked, right? I've been like, so on Twitter, the nice thing about Twitter is you can see like the smartest and brightest people. They're giving out all their thoughts every day. So what I'm seeing right now is one, a lot of these software companies and Silicon Valley companies, they're getting to unicorn status with 5 people, right? Like you're becoming $1 billion company. You only have 5 employees, and it's happening over and over and over again. So one, I think that this trend is going to continue. I also think that tech companies are going to greatly reduce their workforce, like probably in half over the next 5 years. So my big thing right now with the tech industry is one, you definitely, no matter what it is that you're doing, you need to learn AI and how to implement it into your current skill set. And it doesn't even have to be as technical, right? Like there's AI project managers and product manager, things like that. But just being very familiar with the tools, the technologies, the methodologies, and learning how, you can use it to improve, your productivity, and your effectiveness. Also, another thing too that I think people need to watch out for as well is like just making sure that whatever type of job they're doing is not going to get automated away, right? Yeah. So I see like, any type of analyst role probably going to get automated, like data analyst, business analyst. I mean, even cybersecurity analyst. I've got a friend, his name's Marcus J. Carey. And he built a cybersecurity automation tool to be a SOC analyst. And that's out right now. People are buying it and using it. Yeah. So like, cause you got to think about it, right? Like the analyst roles, a lot of time it's like, identifying something, making a report or telling somebody something about the information that you discovered, right? Which can be easily automated. So what I tell everybody is that like, first thing you need to be doing right now is if you're in an analyst role, you need to be getting to an engineer role, right? As fast as possible, right? Do not sit around in these analyst roles because they're going to be on the chopping block first.
Yeah, especially data. Become a data engineer.
Become a data engineer like ASAP.
Anything listen, eventually we all could be replaced by AI. But as far as in the near term, what are some of the most hopefully Teflon things to AI?
Yeah, I mean, what I think personally, the most Teflon is a government security clearance. Like, I just think that's going to be the most Teflon thing, just because of the fact that one, in the GovTech industry, they're not trying to like automate humans away. They're just trying to make their processes more efficient, process more data since they process so much data in the government. And with you having that clearance, they obviously need humans to work these jobs, right? They have a lot of physical systems that, obviously the robots, I don't see that happening anytime soon, but there will be a Gov AI coming out right in the future, but I don't think that's going to impact us. So I definitely think like if people want to be as safe as possible, a government security clearance is going to help you, whether you're in tech, you're not in tech, it's going to be helpful. And then I think the next Teflon, like if you're talking about just like jobs in general, like I said, just those AI focused jobs, right? Or jobs where you have to utilize many different disciplines or many different skills, right? Nothing that, like I said, nothing where it's just, you're just identifying something or like doing just simple like user accounts and just very simple things. I think those are going to be automated away.
Yeah. No, I think the first one to go is going to be the offshore developers. They're just doing the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
If you're just doing the grunt work as far as coding, like that, AI is going to whip that. I mean, like that's going to cause a lot of upheaval over there. And now all these like Latin American kind of development, nearshore companies.
Yep. I agree. And you call the software development like grunt work. And that's what I felt like when I was a software developer, right? I felt like I was just doing high paid grunt work. So I didn't think about AI or anything, definitely not back then. I was just like, I just feel like I'm doing grunt work and I just don't like doing that, right? So I feel like anybody, if you're out here in, whatever job that you're doing and you feel like it's just low level grunt work, it's probably going to get automated. So you definitely should be focused on finding a different type of role to get into. So then that way, you don't become you don't become at risk for AI taking your job.
Yeah. And anything else as far as skill sets that people could look at right now? Cloud, obviously AI stuff. I mean, project management. I mean, what do you like right now in 2025?
Yeah. So what I like right now is obviously AI, right? Cloud security, cybersecurity, right? Not like SOC analyst stuff, right? Not NOC stuff, right? Also, I like technical project management. I think that technical project managers are going to be in demand like always, right? I just don't see technical project management getting phased out due to AI. So many touch points, so many different skills you have to implement. I just don't see that happening.
And the emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
They're dealing with different people. I don't know, I mean, humans have a tough time with it. So
right.
I don't know. Good luck, AI, on that. I mean, famous last words, I guess. But they'll figure it out. Emotional intelligence algorithm. Shit. Yeah, definitely. There goes that.
Yeah. And then also I like platform engineer roles too. I think DevOps is good, but I do think DevOps is a role that can eventually be automated too, just because of the skill set and it's the steps that and the tasks that you're going through. I know it could be automated at some point, right?
Yeah.
So, but I still think the skills are great to have. You just have to evolve with it. I like DevSecOps more than just regular DevOps, right? So, I think the big thing really is just combining different skill sets and different niches together. So like cloud and security, DevOps and security, right? Even if you're in software development, right? You could be focused on, like application security or program security, things like that as a developer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if DevOps goes away, it's people's fault because not enough people got into it.
Yeah.
And so the companies just out of necessity had to figure out ways to automate it because
it's not a lot of people that are in DevOps, and they get paid great money too.
For the demand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, like I deal with a lot of people faking their resume. It's like constantly in recruiting. Gov space, you don't have to worry about that because they have to like clear everything. It's
people still try.
They try.
Yeah,
but it's like,
and then they get screwed like fast.
And I thought I updated the clearance. Okay, well you're not gonna like it's not. They're not gonna be like, oh, just go in. Like it's like very strict. But yeah, DevOps is one of the most faked skill sets because there's not enough people to do it, and they pay a lot. And the companies need it. So if it goes away, it's people's fault.
Yeah. I feel like it's just because it's not a lot of exposure for DevOps. Like I just don't see too many people talking about it, and it's not easy, right? Like DevOps is one of those jobs where it's like, it's not easy. You've got to be on call. You might have to work overnight. Like there's a reason why they get paid that type of money. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, why don't you tell us about GovTech Con? You start a conference on top of everything you do. What do you tell us about that a little bit coming up in September, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, GovTechCon is literally another thing that people were begging me for, right? So that people were begging me for a conference, and every year I was like, okay, I'm going to do one, right? I'm going to do one. I had started doing meetups with my other community that I had on Discord for a while. And then people were like, no, you need to do like a full blown conference. So GovTechCon is it's a 3-day conference. It's happening September 11th through the 13th at the Gaylord. It's like 10 minutes outside of DC. And basically with this conference, what we do is we have a career expo, which is like a job fair, and then different career companies that come out too, like they can help you with your resume. We also have like free resume help during the conference as well, LinkedIn headshots. We have career talks, technical workshops. And throughout this event, right, you'll be able to network with literally like the best and brightest people that are already in GovTech or want to get into GovTech. So like our first year was last year and we had 1,000 people come out. So yeah, it was great. And the feedback was great. Like, you know, people saying it was the best conference they've ever been to, which to me was just like crazy because, you know, we worked so hard to put it together and it was just our first one. So this one, you know, we're trying to make it bigger and better, working on getting some, you know, big speakers to come out and have a lot of fun. And a lot of things are going to be more on site this year. Have you ever been to like a Gaylord Convention Center before?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. So, you know, at the Gaylord, they have, it's a resort. So like, it's going to be so much to do like at the actual resort on site. So we're not going to have to like leave as much as we did last year.
Yeah. So is it one of the ones, you know, you have the big speaker stage and then booths, tons of booths?
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
So we'll have a big speaker stage. We have breakout sessions where we have the technical workshops at, and then we'll also have like a space for the resumes. And we also have a big expo hall. So that's where, you know, you're going to be able to go up to the booths and talk to the different government agencies and government contractor companies as well.
Hand your resume to them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Hand your resume. So we do interviews on the spot too. So there were people that got job offers on the spot last year. Yeah.
That's what you want out of those.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Because like career fairs are like depressing.
Yeah.
But so this is like a cool thing that you get hired at.
Yeah, exactly. You know. Yeah, we have a whole lot of fun too. So yeah, definitely like the goal for this is to help people get hired, to help people network and also progress in their career as well. So you know, we're definitely looking forward to 2025 and everything that we have coming for it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I may have to make a trip up to DC. I haven't been to DC in years, but I may have to make a trip up for that one.
Oh yeah,
sure.
You have to, and it's before the weather gets cold. So yeah, it's gonna be nice. We're gonna have some rooftop events. We're gonna we're gonna have some good events, and like I said, it's just gonna be a great time. So like I said, our main thing is just to make sure that people actually get a lot of value out of the conference, right? Because you know sometimes conferences, you know, you go and you just don't get that much value from it. Yeah. So, you know, we want to make sure people do. And then also now I've started like staffing as well. I was telling you that too. So, you know, my staffing company would be out there. Some of our staffing partners would be out there. So, you know, you definitely want to come out, give them your resume, meet them in person. So then that way you get more opportunities throughout the year.
And so you are a sub to a Prime?
Yeah. So we're a sub to a Prime. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's where you want to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's hard work, but I've got the network, right? Like as soon as a job comes up, I'm like, I can make a tweet. I'm like, hey, I'm hiring for this. Boom. I get 40 resumes. Yeah. So it's pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll see. It can suck.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Right. So, I'm not to the point where I'm like, yeah. I'm sure it's a ton. Right. Because even the first role we had submitted for somebody for, that role had got canceled. Right. So, you know, that I learned quickly, like, there's nothing guaranteed in this. Right. Yep. So, you know, definitely got to just, we're trying to like expand and get more partners that we can sub to. And then also like, you know, our goal is like with GovTechCon is just to help companies like have a huge like talent pool that they can come in and recruit from. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you if they haven't already found you? Most people have already found her, but if you haven't, where can they find you?
Yeah. So people can find me on Instagram at Simone B's, literally on all platforms at Simone B's, on Twitter, on YouTube. My LinkedIn is actually like, it's my actual name. So you have to search Simone Berry. Don't forget the apostrophe over the E or I won't come up. But yeah, that's where you find me at. And then, if you want a GovTech Con ticket, you can get a GovTech Con ticket at govtechcon.com. And then maybe I could just make a promo code for your audience. Yeah. Maybe like you could take 20% off with code JOBBER20. And so I'll make that code after this. And then, so anybody want to come to GovTech Con, definitely come out and have a good time. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I knew we'd get you in Miami eventually. Yeah. It's not that hard. Yeah. It's not hard. It's just been a while. It's been a while.
Not like you were going to Idaho or some crazy place. Although you've been crazier places. But.
Yeah. But I love Miami though.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thanks so much for making this happen, Simone. And we'll catch you guys next time. All right. Thanks, y'all.